Hello, this is a follow-up recording to the other one I made yesterday for this sequencer. I realized that some of the drop-down menus were not showing because of the way I was capturing the screen, so I thought I'd do a follow-up here. So this is for the Bijou compact Euclidean step sequencer, and this is a look at their site here, the K-Teck site. I've been helping Dave from K-Teck do some troubleshooting and UI suggestions on this. So this is now released, and it's been a lot of fun to work on. So I thought I'd do a couple demo videos. Basically, what this is a Euclidean sequencer that has two different sequencers built in, and you can use them also to modulate parameters within the sequencer itself. So, like in his example here, we can see the first sequence is being used to modulate velocity, and you can also add these sequences together to modulate the direction of the sequence in all kinds of other permutations. So let's take a look here at what this looks like in practice in Ableton. I'm going to drag the, this is a pre-release copy, but we'll bring this over here. It's pretty much the same. And if we look here, if I push the space bar, we're not going to hear anything because we need an instrument to be plugged into there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a basic wavetable. So let's try something like mality. Maybe something like this. Okay. So right now I've got 8 steps, and it's sounding pretty straightforward. If I change this to maybe an odd combination, I can see I'll get a rhythm there. I can change this sequence here. And right now I've just got eighth notes. If I change this here, I have a whole selection of different note values, so I can change this to 16ths. That might be kind of cool if we slow that down. So right now, if I don't change anything, I'm going to get that same pattern over and over. And maybe I want to change this scale here. We could try that. So just using this one voice here, if I click on show, I get to see all the different modulation options here. So now I can use the first sequence to modulate, let's say, the duration of the note. And when I click this button here, this randomizes whichever step I'm on here. So right now I'm on the third part of the sequence. It's going to randomize that value. And I can actually modulate when that gets modulated, or randomized rather. So let's try, we use the same sequence to modulate when that R1 gets changed. So now there's some variance going on there with the, at least with the notes being played. If we want to change the rhythm here a bit, we can use this same pattern, the same curve on S1 to change the rotation and that's going to, in the lower left here, it's going to change how this 6 against 5 is placed. You can also change the divisions here. I kind of like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build off of that. I'm going to copy this whole sequencer, and I'm going to go into another MIDI track and drag that in so that I have that voice, or that pattern. I'm going to give it another sound here to work on. Let's see what Plastic Toy is. Okay. Now, because there's some randomization happening here, these won't necessarily be the same at all times. Let's see here what's taking place here. Oh, open this. There we go. Now each one of these sequences, S1 and S2 in the middle here, can be set to different lengths. So I'm actually going to take this again and copy it into another channel and do another MIDI track here. And give this another pattern here. And I want to get a bass sound in here. I'm going to make this a lot more elongated. I also want to add a pitch here. And I might put this back to 8. So I always have a note sounding there. So there's two ways then we can use this to build something. So this is fun on its own, but if we wanted to build something else that was a little more predictable, we could add a MIDI track here, and we could record from, let's say this first track, we could record the MIDI for that by setting this input to be the same as this fake phone here. So now grab a clip of this. Okay, so now I've got some of that captured. And if I look at that, I have all the notes that just played. Now, if I just play that without making some changes here, we won't actually hear exactly what that is. If I just solo that, I'm not going to hear anything because there's no patch there to play it through. So I can bring that over here, but I want to make sure that I mute this. And now I can go back here, I can solo this. So now I'm hearing what was actually captured here. And we can change this if we want to make any individual changes or modulate the whole thing. So if I wanted to, for example, let's take this and copy it into another slot here. And I'm going to go into this second one here. I'm going to select all, and we're going to take the initial note here. We're going to bring this down to, let's say, bring it down to G. So now I've got the first one. First one's in C. And then the second one starts on a G, same pattern. So that could be useful. And if I want to get the sequence back, the sequencer, I've got to put this back on and just not hit play on these or move these out of the way so that they're not on that same track. There's a lot of other ways to deal with that. You could also put the same sound making device on this track here with all your parameters so that you can play this back through there. And then another way of just capturing something, if you really like what you've created but you don't want to go through the steps of capturing everything, just set this to be an audio track and resample. Now I can just grab a piece of that and have it as a reference. Now, if that goes back and starts looping with everything else, then it's going to get clashing with the sequencer. So here's the actual audio we just recorded. So maybe I want to make a loop out of this. And so on. So yeah, that's another look at the Bijou Euclidean sequencer. There's a whole lot you can do with this. I have not tried this particular sequencer on drums yet, but of course you could also just use this for drums. I've been mostly using it for melodic instruments and bass lines, and creating generative kind of evolving pieces. And it's been a lot of fun. So thanks to Dave and K-Teck for putting this out, and I'll catch you later.